I am Gunjan Sharma. We have University Grants Commission Chairman M Jagadesh Kumar with us today. Welcome to PTI. You've recently completed 1 year as the UGC chief, and when you took over, we were just coming out of the pandemic. The education sector definitely was affected by the pandemic. How are things settling down now?
Well, 1 year ago, as you rightly said, we had two things in our mind. How to bring the academic schedule back on track because the colleges and universities were just coming out of the COVID pandemic. And the second one is the bigger challenge of implementing the NEP 2020. So we worked on both fronts. We were in touch with the universities and colleges. The students and stakeholders had several webinars and seminars. And then in terms of the implementation of the NEP 2020, we identified about 18 reforms that need to be implemented. And these reforms had to be implemented considering short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. So as part of that, we introduced many reforms during last 1 year, brought out several regulations and also guidelines. That is one part. The other part is this information has to diffuse to the stakeholders. We have to handhold them. So we held a number of meetings with the vice chancellors, either region-wise, south, east, west, north, northeast, and so on, or category-wise. For example, central university vice chancellors, state university vice chancellors, deemed to be university vice chancellors. So with each category of heads of institutions, we held several discussions, and then we are trying to implement many of these reforms so that the change can be seen on the ground.
The first thing that you announced, your first major announcement as the UGC chief, was the Common University Entrance Test. And the application process for the second edition is just about to conclude. Considering how the first edition was marred with glitches and the students had different kind of experiences, what measures have we taken this year to ensure that it is a smooth experience for the second edition?
So there are two major differences when you compare CUET, the first edition, and CUET, the second edition. In the second edition, we worked out the entire schedule for the CUET well in advance, and we announced it on December 15th, 2022 itself, so that the students know well in advance when the exam is going to come. For example, the CUET UG will be held from May 21st to 31st. And the entire application process has started, and this time we also extended based on the feedback from the students the last date for the application until March 30th. So since we started the entire process well in advance, we hope that by June end the results will be out, and the entire July second week, third week, by third week the admissions can be completed, and by July last week or August 1st, all universities can start their academic programs. So therefore, we can very well say that we will be back on track when it comes to the academic session across the country. But with respect to the experience of the students, last year, in majority of the centers, the experience was good. And I do agree that in few centers, there were glitches, and now this year we are taking care of all issues related to those kind of experiences that the students went through, and we will make sure that this time the students had to focus only on the examination but not about any possible glitches. And how are we doing that? We are doing that by identifying the centers well in advance and by looking at the infrastructure that is available in terms of the computers that are available, the network bandwidth that is available, and also the technical personnel that are available within the centers, so that the CUET second edition will go glitch free.
What about the glitches where, for example, last year you yourself admitted that there were attempts to sabotage the exam? What are the kind of measures that we are taking this year to ensure that the sanctity of such a crucial exam is maintained?
So what we have done is we have categorized the centers based on the past experience as category A, category B, and category C. And some of the centers where we face the problems, they go into category C, and we will not use those centers this time. And category B are those centers where some amount of groundwork needs to be done. We need to handhold the centers and make sure that the appropriate infrastructure is available. So we have already started working on that. And category A centers, they are absolutely fine. We will not expect any problems. So therefore, this time students need not worry about any possible glitches. But having said that, these are all machines. Sometimes some machines may not function as expected, but we are also working on plan B. We will be keeping extra computers, and we will also keep some extra centers ready so that students can be quickly shifted there.
With over 14 lakh registrations last time, CUET became the second largest entrance exam that is conducted in the country. How many applications have we received so far, considering the application deadline has been extended already, and we still have more than 10 days for the application process to end?
Right. Usually what happens is during the last 1 week, the applications will peak. So far, as of now, we have received about 11.5 registrations on our portal, and already about 8.3 lakhs students have paid their examination fee. That means they are going to write. Since we have extended the deadline up to 30th March, we expect that this year the number of students who will be writing CUET will exceed the last year's number.
What about the plans for merging CUET with NEET and JEE? Considering the bigger plan was to have a common entrance exam for all subjects, and the idea was floated. Have we set up a panel already to study the idea? What is the progress made on this subject?
You see, NEP 2020 has clearly said that the burden on students should be reduced by having a single national level entrance examination. And in NEET, we use physics, chemistry and biology. And in JEE, we use maths, physics and chemistry. And in CUET, you have 27 domain subjects. So the idea is that if the students write only one entrance exam, for medical, they can pick up the appropriate subject scores. And for JEE, they can choose the other set of subject scores. We floated this idea just to mentally prepare the students that NEP has proposed such a thing, and this is a possibility that will happen in the coming years. But even if you work out the details of such a single national level examination, we will definitely give at least 2 years time to the students, so that the students who are in 10th class are aware that such a national level exam is going to come down the line in 2 years. But still it is at an idea level. We are working internally how to take this forward.
Do we have a timeline in mind for this? Like 2 years later, 3 years later, do we have a timeline?
We haven't set any hard deadline for this, because we need to take the stakeholders also into confidence, discuss with various ministries also, because NEET comes under one ministry, JEE, CUET comes under another ministry. So we also had to sit together and check out the entire plan. It is doable, it is possible, but when it will be done is something that we need to wait and watch.
Considering CUET and what students have to say about it, there are still apprehensions whether it will provide a level playing field to students across all boards, especially considering the normalization of scores. Several students who scored exceptionally bright otherwise missed out on admissions in their dream colleges, good colleges last year, which they would have got otherwise. How are we going to ensure that the actual idea behind CUET of providing a level playing field and reducing the rat race and the coaching burden is going to be a successful plan?
The word level playing ground has multidimensionality. From different perspectives, it provides level playing ground to the students. One perspective is that you don't have to be within the bracket of 98, 99 to get admission in a great university, because CUET provides you this level playing ground, even if I get less percentage in my board marks. The other level playing ground is that especially students who come from rural background, from remote areas, they are getting admission in best universities through CUET. So in that sense, we are actually democratizing the access to higher education. And the third level playing ground that we are providing to the students is that unlike some of the other entrance examinations where you have 11th standard, 12th standard syllabus is considered, and also the questions may be at a level which is beyond 12th standard, whereas in CUET we focus only on the syllabus which is there for 12th standard board examinations. So from that perspective, students have to focus only on the board exams, do well there and walk into the CUET center and attempt your CUET examination. So the stress levels will be less here, and the need for going for any kind of coaching is not there at all in CUET. So that is why I said it has a multi-dimensional aspect when it comes to the level playing.
So we will continue with the normalization of scores, or is there going to be any change in that policy?
That's a scientific method because when the exams are conducted on several days, the performance of the students and the difficulty level of the papers, there will be variations. It's humanly impossible to keep everything under control. So that is where science comes to our help, and using this statistical approach, we normalize the score so that students will not suffer even if they are writing on different days. But this time, what we are doing is to minimize even any errors in the normalization, also any possible errors. We are compressing the number of days. It is now going to be held only over a period of 10 days or so, unlike 1.5 months that we took last year. And also we are conducting the test 3 times in a day. Last year we conducted only 2 times in a day. So once you compress the number of days, the variations in performance and the difficulty level will also be less.
And hence the normalization of scores
Will be more scientific and more dependable.
Moving beyond CUET, UGC has big plans for internationalization of education. When are we expecting the guidelines for the foreign universities to set up their campuses in India? The draft was released 2 months back, and the stakeholders have already submitted their feedback. When do we see the notification, and when do we see the formal guidelines coming out?
In fact, this regulation of UGC to bring the campuses of foreign educational institutions in India is widely discussed in our country because of the possible advantages that it can bring to our students. So the regulations are being fine-tuned now. We also held discussions with various foreign university delegations which have visited UGC, and we have put this draft regulation for public feedback also, and we have received very good feedback. We have analyzed that feedback and incorporated that in this draft regulation, and we hope that in another month or so we should be able to release the final regulations.